guys, how are you? Hope this finds you well. Today I'm going to spend just a few minutes with you chatting about something that I feel like I have to revisit often because it's easy to slip out of this habit. So today I'm going to talk to you about margin. Margin is defined in the dictionary as an edge, a limit, a boundary. So, you could say a margin around a page that you're printing or something like that. I'm, of course, talking about emotional, physical, spiritual margins. So, have you ever been running late to something, you're speeding, someone calls, but you don't have time to answer, you run into a friend, you don't even have time to say hi, you pretend like you don't see them, you get in, you're actually late, and actually you've double booked yourself, you have to be somewhere else, something like this. This happens to me all too often. Sometimes I will be pulling out of my driveway with not even a couple of minutes to spare to say hi to my neighbor who's in their yard. This is what I'm talking about when I say margin. Or have you ever been at the grocery store and you're so frustrated, the line is so long, you don't have time for anything, and then another day, maybe you don't have as much on your plate, you're not running late, you let someone go ahead of you, you're chatting with the cashier. The truth is, the amount of margin that I support in my life really impacts my day. It impacts the way I interact with people. It impacts how much I can hear God. It impacts how much I feel peace and confidence. And so today I just want to chat about what are you doing to support your margins? Of course, I'm going to think about it through my three areas: physical, emotional, so that's your body, your mind, and spiritual. So starting physically, what sorts of margins do you need? If you eat a poor meal, if you get one poor night's sleep, how are you doing? Does it have a huge impact, or can you weather that storm? How many curveballs or bumps in the road does it take to really derail how you feel physically? Spiritually, if something happens that is a curveball that kind of shakes you or is unfortunate, is your foundation the foundation that you fall back on God's nature and His goodness, or is it doubt and fear? Emotionally, kind of the examples that I said earlier, how much can you handle before you snap at someone, or you start to cry, or you get really irritated with one of your little ones? So these are kind of the areas I want you to start thinking about. Again, physically, meaning your body, your overall physical health; emotionally, so your mind, your thoughts; and spiritually, your walk with God, or how you see Him interacting with whatever's going on in your day. So maybe later, write down a few things that you see in those areas. And then today, I want to say to you, what are you doing that could support these areas, right? Because we don't just want to realize or gain awareness and insight into what's happening. We want to say, okay, what do we want to do about it to live the life we want to live? Because my whole point is that if I don't support myself in a way that allows me margin, I don't live the life I want to live in any area with anyone. So, what are some things you can do? A huge one for me is boundaries. Boundaries with myself and boundaries with other people. What things or people do you need to say no to? Because you can't wholeheartedly say yes to them, as well as the other stuff you know you need to do or that's really your priority. So this is tricky with people. It's tricky with family. It's tricky with spouses and kids. It's tricky with churches and schools, jobs, bosses. But it's really tricky just with ourselves even. What boundaries do I need to set with myself so that I give myself margin? Is it not watching TV before I go to bed because I know I'm not going to sleep as well? Or is it making sure I'm in bed at a certain time so that I allow myself enough sleep so that I can really function at my fullest the next day? Boundaries are so crucial. And part of it is just realizing what works for you, to which I would say, check out my video, What's Your Rhythm? And hopefully gain a little insight into what is your rhythm, not what works for your husband or your friend, what works for you. And then the tricky part with boundaries is, are you going to stick to them? Because it takes some hard work to do that. Which leads me to my next point, which is sometimes we identify things that really help us build margin. So build that emotional or physical or spiritual buffer zone around us. That's what I mean by margin. But those are kind of hard commitments to keep. For example, working out is something that really builds margin in my life. The more I work out, the more I feel comfortable and at peace with myself and my body, both emotionally and physically. So working out's really important to me. But that doesn't mean I'm always excited to go to the gym or I always want to go walk around my neighborhood. It takes effort and commitment. So those are the things where once you realize, okay, what does help me build margin, you just got to stick to it and keep doing it. Not all the time. Like don't go into perfection or, black and white thinking about it. But in general, once you've identified what works for you, which I imagine as you watch this, you already know a lot of those answers. So jot them down on that piece of paper. And then tell yourself, I want to stick to these things because I want to show up the best me I can. I want to show up the best wife and mother and friend and worker that I can. And to do that, I really got to stick to these things. It kind of flips the grid on thinking through, like, setting a boundary with someone is actually really loving because it means you're actually saying yes to so many other things and showing up the best version of you. So that's all I have for you today. Please leave questions, comments below. Let me know if something didn't make sense. Please let us all know what is working for you so that we can all benefit and give those things a try too. As always, like, share, subscribe, and let me know if I can help in any way. Until next time, have a beautiful day and make some margin. Bye.